Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming today to this timely forum on an issue that is becoming more and more acute and dangerous. But let me start at the outset, and on behalf of the Secretary General of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, Dr. Yusuf Al-Uthaymeen, to express my sincere thanks and appreciation to the Islamic Cultural Center and to its director, Dr. Ahmed Al-Dubayyan, for hosting the forum and for the excellent arrangements and for the valuable insights in his speech in introducing today's forum. And let me extend my thanks as well to the Islamic Education, Scientific and Cultural Organization, ISESCO, and to the Director of Information Communication, Dr. Mahjoub bin Saeed, for co-organizing the forum and for his kind words this morning. I would also like to thank all the speakers and participants, and especially for coming today on a Saturday, on a weekend, and with this lovely weather outside. I'm sure we would rather be outside than here, but thank you so much for coming. And therefore, I look forward to a lively debate and positive outcomes, inshallah. The forum is being held in implementation of the updated OIC anti-Islamophobia media strategy and its mechanisms, which was adopted by the 11th session of the OIC Ministers of Information Conference, which was held in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, just last December 2016. And it is also based on the final communique of the 13th Islamic Summit Conference, which was held in Istanbul, Turkey, in April 2016, which stressed in paragraph 132 that the media, including social media, is the most effective tool for spreading information and shaping public opinion, and recognize the decisive role it can assume in projecting the bright image of Islam and the member states to the outside world and achieving the objectives of Islamic solidarity. The OIC media strategy in countering Islamophobia consists of short, medium, and long-term objectives that include focusing on interaction with media outlets, academicians, and experts on various related topics, which is why we're here today. It also includes producing content, publications, and media literacy programs. It also includes engaging with Western governments in creating awareness and supporting efforts by Muslim civil societies in the West and involving them in the elaboration of plans and programs to counter Islamophobia. There is no doubt that there is a rise in Islamophobia in the West. Several recent surveys and studies, including here in the UK, have indicated a considerable increase in hate crimes against Muslims, whether physical or verbal, or in the form of discrimination and bias. There's usually a spike in hate crimes against Muslims following terrorist acts perpetrated by a Muslim. It was reported in the UK following the horrible acts on London Bridge and in Manchester, this increase in hate crimes against Muslims. This guilt by association is unacceptable and very damaging to community relations. Furthermore, associating Islam and Muslims with terrorism is unjustified. Islam is being used and abused for achieving sinister agendas. In addition, extremist religious ideologies are not unique to Muslims. Throughout history, there has been and still is extremist Christians, Jews, and even Buddhists. In recent years, far-right political groups have joined the fray in targeting Muslims for political gains. Terrorism is also not unique to Muslims. Several groups throughout history have also used terror to gain foothold and influence policies and decisions. Furthermore, Muslims are more victims of terrorism than others. Muslims account for the highest number of victims of terrorists in Muslim countries, and they're also victims by terrorist acts in Western cities, and they suffer the backlash in the aftermath. The terrorists do not discriminate in their hate of the whole society, but those who take revenge on Muslims target them specifically. It is a double jeopardy for Muslims in the West. Terrorism and Islamophobia are two sides of the same coin of hate. They feed on each other. The distorted views of terrorists and Islamophobes of the other and their extremist ideologies and convictions are linked in a vicious cycle that is affecting world peace and security. The disturbing part is that they are a minority on both sides, but their voices are loud and disruptive, and their acts are causing havoc across the globe. Media, whether traditional or new, plays a big role in magnifying this small but determined group and amplifies their voice, giving them a platform to spread their poisonous venom. Furthermore, biased and unethical reporting on terrorist acts exacerbates the problem and adds to the feelings of distrust and fear. We notice, for example, that in reporting terrorist acts, if it is a Muslim who committed the act, it's terrorism, and it's immediately declared so. If it's a black person, it's a crime. If it's a white person, he is mentally disturbed. On the other hand, we cannot deny that we also need to address the source of this venom, the ideologues who create the discourse, the mantra, the culture of hate and murder, relying on false and distorted interpretations of religion, racist beliefs, actual grievances of injustice and marginalization, or simply fear-mongering. The Organization of Islamic Cooperation has adopted numerous resolutions since 2005 calling for clear and concrete measures to address this phenomenon, and has taken several initiatives in addressing Islamophobia and its counter-ego terrorism, starting with establishing an Islamophobia Observatory in 2007 that issues an annual report. It has also made efforts with regards to media engagement, cultural events, and engaging Western governments and civil society. Last year, it created a ministerial-level contact group on Muslims in Europe for closer and regular communication with officials and communities in Europe. It also established a messaging center to counter religious extremist arguments and edicts. We are also in the process of creating an international media award for journalists who promote intercultural dialogue, understanding, and tolerance. Today and tomorrow in this forum, we want to look at the role of the media and civil society in countering Islamophobia from a legal and human rights perspective, because we cannot talk about the role of the media without discussing the freedom of the press and freedom of expression as fundamental human rights. And when talking about the role of the media, it is within the framework of its responsibility in the proliferation of stereotypes and its ethical and professional standards in covering and handling Islamophobia acts. We hope by the end of these 2 days to come up with some concrete recommendations that we can implement together. Thank you very much for your attention. Wassalamu alaikum.